Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to episode 6 of Spiritually Aligned, a podcast designed to help support and guide women who are on their journey of awakening. But over the next several months, I'm actually dedicating this space to supporting and guiding the divine feminines who are on the twin flame journey. Together, we're going to be diving into various aspects of this journey so you can begin to peel back the layers and rediscover who you are, along with aligning to your inner knowing. By doing so, you're actually going to cultivate and create a very loving and compassionate journey for yourself and your beloved as well. So I invite you to join me in this week's episode as we take a look at letting go of things that are no longer serving you on this path. So I invite you to grab a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and you might want to grab a notebook so you could take a few notes. But before we get into this week's episode, I want to introduce myself. My name is Melissa, and I'm your host. I'm a spiritual guide, I'm a Reiki master, I clear energy multidimensionally, and I'm the divine feminine in my twin flame journey. For those of you that are into human design, I'm a 3/5 emotional projector. And why I share that with you is because I'm here as a guide, and that is something I have always seen myself through my whole entire life. No matter what job it was that I've had, I would always say that I'm helping others, guide them to what is best for themselves. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. The 3/5 part of me loves, and I mean loves, to take the long way to wherever it is that I'm going, because it's on this path that I'm actually experimenting with life. And it's through these experiments that I have these incredible experiences where I get to learn what works and what doesn't work and share them with you. So you can take what resonates with you and only what resonates with you and start applying it to your journey. So you don't have to waste your valuable time and energy figuring out what works, because I've already done that. And that's part of my soul's purpose. So let's dive into this week's episode. In previous episodes, I've actually shared a little bit about my journey. And my journey is a little bit different than most of yours. But when we meet our divine masculine, us in another body, and we realize that we are a twin flame, because I truly believe this journey finds us. We're not looking for this journey. And when we're awakened to this journey, we are so desperate, and I use the word desperate because that's how it feels when we realize that we're on this path. We're so desperate for information, some understanding, and some guidance. We spend hours, if not days and even weeks, watching videos on TikTok or YouTube, looking up things on Instagram to help us, give us some answers. And as I discussed in the previous episode, the beginning of my journey was very unique compared to most. My first year and a half, I actually spent not knowing that I was a twin flame. And it was such a blessing in disguise, because it was at that time that I was just following my intuition. I was connecting to God and listening to my higher self. And it was during this phase that I felt like I had so much peace and clarity about what I was supposed to do next on my journey. I wasn't doubting myself. I wasn't questioning anything. I was just trusting. And I always term this phase of my journey as I was ignorance on bliss. And honestly, that was probably the best way to look at this journey. And I really want to be able to help others find that ignorance is bliss within their journey, because it's allowing you to tap into your intuition and your inner knowing as to what is meant for you on this path. And it wasn't until I discovered that I was a twin flame that I actually got off track. I mean, I got way off track on my journey by following what the quote unquote gurus, spiritual guides, and teachers and everyone else was saying. And I took that as my own truth, and I actually discarded my truth, and I ended up feeling lost. I felt overwhelmed, and I felt really confused. And I know so many of you divine feminines are feeling that way, which is why I'm using this platform and TikTok to be able to share about my journey, to help you, guide you back on track. Because here's the thing, you might feel lost or overwhelmed, but we have a very kind and loving God and universe who are going to gently nudge you back on track. And I truly believe that if you have discovered me either on here or TikTok or both, that this is God in the universe nudging you to get back on track. And so as we dive into this week's episode, I want you to take a moment and reflect on your journey. Pause this episode and take as long as you need. But before you pause it, I really want you to sit with yourself and connect and ask yourself if what you're doing currently on your twin flame journey is truly serving you. And to be really honest with yourself. Or you can even ask yourself, is what you're doing keeping you stuck in the same patterns, replaying out the same cycles and patterns within you and your beloved? Because as Einstein once said, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is literally the definition of insanity. And so I want you to take some time and ask yourself, take as long as you want. And it may take some time, but whatever it is that you can see, to just truly see it for what it is. And the way that I like to do this kind of work is I put my hand on my heart and I gently close my eyes and I float above my situation with me and my beloved, and I see it for what it is. I look at the things that are happening between us and within me and asking myself, is this truly serving me? And look at it from that bird's eye view, to simply see it for what it is, without any judgment, without any attachment of any emotions or anything like that. No shame, no blame, just simply see it. So I want you to pause that video or pause this episode and take as much time as you want. Now, my question for you is, did you really pause this video and sit with yourself? If you didn't, I highly encourage you to do so. And if you're resisting to do this work, then I want you to sit with that part of you that's resisting to do this inner work, because this journey is calling you to the deepest parts of you. And if you have resistance, it's okay. I get it. I really, truly do, because I was once there. And so if you haven't paused this episode, I want you to do so and just sit with yourself, because you're going to find some incredible parts of yourself. Your ego may not like them, but remember, our spiritual awakening and our twin flame journey is about letting go of the ego and really tapping into that inner knowing. So one of the things that I noticed on my journey, and I see in the journey of a lot of other twin flames, is that many of us lack discernment. And we are seeking outside of ourselves when the guidance, the direction, the knowing that we have about this journey is all within ourselves. And I'm guilty of it as well. And my mission is to help as many divine feminines to turn back to their inner knowing, to trust in that inner knowing, and to really realize that there is no wrong path on this journey, not in your awakening and not in your twin flame journey, because I have done everything wrong according to what others are saying out there. And honestly, I couldn't be happier in my journey, and I couldn't be happier for my beloved. And I get to share with you what works and what doesn't work. So I want you to place your hand on your heart and take a moment and look at the limiting beliefs that you have about this journey. Because it wasn't until I found out that I was a twin flame that I actually started taking on the limiting beliefs of the collective. And this was over 6 years ago. And those beliefs of the collective actually delayed many things for me. And what others would say got me off track, I actually learned a lot on the way, so I get to share with you. So many of us on our journey, and I say us because I was once there, we get so caught up in what's my divine masculine doing? What's his lesson in this situation that he's in? Or how can I teach him? What do I need to teach him? What is it that I need to show him? How can I awaken him? And we're so focused on separation. There's some of us have a lot of anger, resentment, and frustration, right? We're living in fear, fearing that he's never going to come back, or fearing that you may have to live without him for the rest of your life. We experience resistance, and we experience so much pain and suffering. And by the way, you're the one that controls how much pain and suffering you actually experience on your twin flame journey and your awakening. And we start to blame and shame either ourselves or our beloved. A lot of us have experienced a lot of betrayal. Or maybe your story is something different and I haven't spoken about it. But whatever it may be in terms of what's going on in your dynamic right now, just simply see it for what it is. And I want to ask you right now, is being in any of these things that I listed above serving you at this time in your journey? Because I want you to think about that for a moment. If we're caught up in trying to worry about what is he doing, what's his lesson, trying to figure out a solution for him, or trying to show him what it is that he needs to learn, or any of that, you're actually taking valuable time and energy away from yourself. And a lot of us have to learn in this lifetime that time and our energy are the two most valuable things that we have. And why are you going to waste it on a situation or something that is not your responsibility? So I encourage you to figure out how can you turn that focus from him onto you. Because I promise you, when you do, you're going to see dramatic shifts within you and within your dynamic. And when we're focused on separation, guess what we're doing? We're still creating more separation because we're coming from that place of lack. We're coming from that place of they are, disconnected from us. When we have to really realize that our twin flame is always connected to us. Just like we are connected to almost 8 billion people on this planet. We're all connected. We have to end that separation consciousness. And if you're caught up in anger, resentment, fear, frustration, blame, shame, all of those lower vibrational energies, whether you're communicating that or not to your beloved, they can energetically feel that. And if you are carrying any of those lower vibrational energies, I encourage you to do the inner work, to let that go, because that's trying to show you something in terms of your journey. Because remember, and I say this over and over and over again, your beloved is you in another body. And how you treat your beloved is a reflection of how you're treating yourself. And your divine masculine is actually just playing a role in your movie that you asked him to play. and how he is acting. Are you ready for this, Divine Feminines? The way your Divine Masculine is acting is because of your subconscious programming. And some of you are so angry and mad and blame them for everything. But it's your subconscious programming that is actually creating his behavior. And so I encourage you to sit with yourself and figure out what limiting beliefs do you have. What conditionings and programs do you have and patterns are you playing out that are no longer serving you? And your soul is wanting you to let these go. And I promise you, once you let these go, it creates a huge shift in your dynamic. And oftentimes when you let go of that anger, that blame, that frustration, that resentment that you have towards him, I will guarantee you that most likely he'll reach out. But he can't reach out because these energies are blocking you and actually keeping you farther into separation. So I like to play a little what if game, right? And I want you just to take a moment and play this game with me, because this is a great way to start detaching yourself from things and letting go of control. Because many of us Divine Feminines love to control this journey, right? How many of you are trying to control this? I know I did for a really long time because I didn't want him to see those parts of me. I would do anything and everything to make sure I didn't get triggered. But when we do that, we're coming from our trauma. And some of us are wanting to be perfect. And we have to realize that you are already perfect and that perfection actually doesn't exist. So let's play the what if game. So I want you to ask yourself, what if you let go to all that you know, right? And open up to a new way of navigating this journey? What if? Or what if you started seeing you as a divine being? And then what if you started seeing your Divine Masculine as a divine being? What if you began to realize that what you see in him is also within you? And this is the good and the bad. I think many of us focus too much on what he's not doing versus what it is that he's actually doing. Or when we look at what it is that he's doing, we're solely focused on the negative things. And we have to remember that our Divine Masculine is also showing us these beautiful qualities about ourselves. All right. What if you held space for your Divine Masculine to show up authentically? What if you unconditionally loved him? What if you started sending him loving energy? And what if you let go of control in regards to this connection and trusted more in yourself, in your inner knowing, in God, and your Divine Masculine? I want you to just feel in to those statements. How did they feel when I was speaking about them? What kind of reaction did your ego have? Because if there was this expansiveness, this peace, this resonance with some of the statements that I was saying, or perhaps even all of them, then that's your truth. And those are the things that you are being called to do in this journey. And if your ego was kicking and screaming, no, 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 or have 1,000 excuses, yet another sign that those are things that you should start doing in your journey. Because I want to remind you that your divine masculine is not your enemy. He's not out to get you. He's just playing that role that you asked him to. And I remember blaming my divine masculine for many things in my journey. I resented him for certain things, and I was so angry at him for a while. And all this was happening, by the way, when I was off track, because I wasn't connected to my truth. I wasn't connected to that part of me that knew what it was I was meant to do. I was not connecting to that part of me that was pure love. And I was caught up in the separation. And so how can you start stepping into doing those things, especially if they're really resonating with you? Because I will tell you, when I started doing all of those things, not because I had to, but because I wanted to, and I wanted to have a different experience on this journey, I stopped seeing my beloved as separate as me, and I began seeing him as me. And how I treated him, I realized, was a reflection of how I needed to treat myself, because I treated him better than myself at times. And I needed to realize that I needed to treat myself better. And I remember thinking so highly of him at times as well. And I started realizing I needed to start thinking highly of myself. So what if you stop blaming him and taking responsibility for what's happening in your reality? Because he's just showing you the things that you can't see. And all of this is based on our conditioning that we were raised in, our beliefs, the templates that we were born into, our trauma, all of that stuff, our shadow. He's just showing you that part, so you can begin embracing that part, healing those parts of you, integrating these parts back into you. And what if you focus all of your energy onto you and to truly loving yourself with so much grace and compassion? And when you're able to master that within you, then and only then do you start sending him loving energy, connecting to him heart to heart, soul to soul. And when you're doing this, you're doing it from a place of pure, unconditional love, not wanting or expecting anything in return, because your beloved is trying to pull you in that direction. Because divine feminines, have you ever noticed when you have a motive to whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's via text message or whatever it is, and you're wanting something in return, he usually doesn't respond, right? It's because there's a motive behind it. There's a condition. There's something that you need. But when you show up and purely give because you want to give, because your bucket is already full and overflowing, that you get to extend that to him. So I encourage you to take a moment and reflect on any of the words that I was saying, and how can you start navigating this journey in a different way, and being open to allowing him to show these parts of you, because he's leading you back to you, to the beautiful being that you are. And he will continue to do that in whatever way, shape, or form that he feels he needs to do based on where you currently are at in your journey. So let go of control. Trust in yourself, trust in God, and trust in your divine masculine. And so, beloved soul, I would love to hear any thoughts, comments in regards to these words. And let me know what resonates with you. Or maybe you have something that you've done in your connection that you feel others need to hear. Drop it in the comments down below. Share with others what's worked for you on your journey. Because yes, I'm using my voice right now, but I want you to use your voice as well. So if you have not connected with me on Instagram or TikTok, be sure to follow me there. I am at Sacredness Within You on both platforms. And if you're feeling a little lost, overwhelmed, or confused on this journey, I do offer one-on-one coaching sessions and energy healing sessions. And this month in May, I launched Circle for the Divine Feminines. It's an opportunity to connect and grow with other Divine Feminines where you get to experience group healing sessions, group coaching sessions, master classes, and so much more. Not only is Circle going to change your twin flame dynamic, but when multiple people come together and are doing this work, it's actually going to have a huge impact in terms of the collective. And so if you're wanting to know more, click on the description box down below and head on over to my website. And for a sneak peek into next week's episode, we're going to be diving into third-party energy, third-party dynamics, and karmic connections. So if you are in a third-party dynamic, or perhaps you're in a karmic connection, then I invite you to join me next week. And don't forget to follow so you never miss out on an episode. And my friends, I am sending you all so much love and light. So honored to be on this journey with you. And I encourage you to continue doing this work because I promise you, the more work that you do on yourself internally, your external reality is going to change even more. So much love to you, and until next time.